Welcome to the lighter side of the dark side. It's your weekly freak show, or semi-weekly these days, on Renegade Radio, also Steel Waves Radio, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Deezer. We're on everything. It's the Dark Mark Show. I am Dark Mark, the goth comedian. My co-host, everybody's favorite vegan heavy metal DJ, Hannah Bach. She'll be along in a little bit. This show's a long time coming. We've been trying to get this going for a few days, and we finally have it today. Two of my favorite people, one of my favorite bands. I feel so woefully not goth today, except this is not good for the radio listeners, but you two people can see I'm wearing my Young One shirt. That's about as goth as I got tonight. But the other day when we tried to tape this, I did have Guy Liner on. So we have one of my friends. I've been friends with her for, 4 years now? One of my favorite people, one of the most talented people I know. She's done everything from, look at this. You've done everything from opera to puppeteering to acting to blogging to everything. And now you are have been the lead singer of Light Shadows, or one half of Light Shadows. That's Cassandra Vincent.
Hello! I realize I can't wave if everyone's listening to it as a podcast, right? I have to say hello.
It's on YouTube as well, so some people will be watching on YouTube. Actually, the last one we did, it's getting a lot of people checking it out. But and also I met him through Cassandra, and we're going to find out where they met. And he's one of the goth look of the three of us. To be honest with you today, I love you, Cassandra, and you look beautiful. But
I'm a cyber look.
He has out goth both of us today, and he was the other half of Light Shadows, and he's been doing music for a long time, and he's very, very talented. Multi-instrumentalist, Phillip Peters.
Hey, how's it going, people?
Well, I keep referring as Peter, but his name is Phillip Peters. Thank goodness Zoom has the names there, so we don't have to get confused about that.
Cool. Oh yeah, I see the names now.
Yes. Great. And just before we get started, I got we have to support everybody, and I hope you support Light Shadows and order any money you can give them at any way, and camp, whatever you got to do. We'll figure it out at the end of the show how to give these people money. But I told you I listened to your album all straight through, but that was on Deezer, and I have a free trial. But we'll figure something out. If you want to support the show, you want to support me, go to audibletrial.com/DMS. audibletrial.com/DMS. And you get a free 30-day trial to Audible, a free book, and 2 free Audible originals. Now, you guys are on the road. I'm sure you listen to audiobooks all the time. And they have everything from Shakespeare to smut. They have all the bestsellers. I'm serious. They have, if occult books are your thing, if anything, Stephen King books, comedy albums, they've got everything. And the Audible originals are great because they have Audible originals from everybody from Stephen Fry to John Lithgow to Kate McKinnon. Bob Newhart has a show where he interviews comics. They have a radio play of the Alien 3. The script that did not use was written by William Gibson. They got Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen, and all-star cast to do that. That's free if you go to audibletrial.com/DMS.
Definitely text us that, because I haven't used Audible in a while and I would want to use your link. Thank you.
Exactly. Use the link, and you can cancel next day. If you do, you probably won't because you get deep discounts, but you can cancel theoretically the next day, and you keep the book, you keep the 2 Audible originals. So whatever you want. They have actually a play, Dracula play of Dracula with Tim Curry, Alan Cumming, and all-star cast. So they've got all sorts of stuff.
Oh, I love that.
All sorts of stuff about music. It's great. And also we are sponsored. Please support the restaurant industry. If anybody's starving these days, it's artists like us. Well, not me, obviously. It's going to be a while until I start. But artists like us and restaurant industry. So Doomy's Home Cooking. Have you guys, either one of you, been to Doomy's Home Cooking?
No, where is it?
That's on 1253 Vine Street, right where the M Bar used to be in Hollywood, right on Fountain and Vine. The best vegan food you ever had. I don't know if you're vegan, Cassandra, but or Phillip.
But I've eaten vegan food before. Good vegan food is...
Well, it doesn't matter. This food
You
is
just-
wouldn't even know. The nachos were voted one of the 10 best nachos in LA by the LA Weekly.
Oh, cool.
The only one without meats. They got a Mexican restaurant. They got a regular restaurant. They're doing curbside service. They have a restaurant in Toronto. Visit and support Do Me Some Cooking. And if you look at this show on YouTube or on any of our podcast sites or on our Instagram, Twitter feed, Facebook feed, all Dark Mark Show, you'll get coupons for Hustler Hollywood and Spy Associates. So, you know, if you want something a little risque, go to Hustler Hollywood. If you want to spy on people or see who's spying on you, go to Spy Associates. It's great James Bond stuff. So we're going to start with Cassandra.
Uh-oh.
Cassandra. Oh, you want me to start with Peter? Philip? I did it. Philip, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I messed up your name.
Oh, cool.
This is the question I want to ask is, are you a vampire is what I want to ask.
Well, I can't answer that question, honestly.
Yes.
I'll just say I've been asked before.
I asked him to do that too when he was on the show because you two are very much alike because you don't age.
Well,
I just saw a video of yours from 1980.
oh, God. What video was
It was your old band. It was she. What was it?
She Sits Alone.
Yes.
Well, did you see the actual studio version where they tried to do a little acting and the band was only spliced in it a couple of times?
That's the one that's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually the official video. Yeah. That's
Yeah. And you look exactly the same.
Oh, well, that's cool. Thank you.
I mean, the hair is different, obviously. You got that 1980s hair, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, the hair was a real disaster that day. I remember I decided to get a haircut the day before the video. So I was wearing a weird scarf. It kind of came up. Yeah, it looks kind of like Pat Benatar in a way.
That's cool.
But yeah.
It looks exactly the same. Well, you start now. This is and I'm trying to. What was that band's name? Because I had it memorized.
Quiet Room?
Quiet Room. Yes, Quiet Room. That was it. Was that your first band?
No, actually, it wasn't. It was about I mean, that was my second successful band, but I had been in bands ever since I was learning guitar, really early on. It's we'd all be learning guitar and we just start a band, so. But yeah, one of my earlier ones, definitely.
Now, did you grow, well, except for, the bands that you had in the 1700s playing in the Revolutionary era when you were doing that.
Exactly.
Did you?
You sit here and just enjoy.
I'm very intrigued now. He's probably got a whole story. He was probably a fife player and the French Revolution and all sorts of stuff. Who knows?
A lute player. We all had to learn lute.
Lute. Oh, okay. Back in those days. All right.
Before they had guitar.
Oh, okay. And but so you started Quiet Room in San Francisco, and I'm fixating on this because you mentioned this on the website. I guess this is your first your first successful band in that you guys opened for some Duran Duran.
Oh yeah. Duran
When they first got to America, you opened up for them.
Yeah, it was actually a weird show. It was their first trip over to the U.S. and they were trying to get a record label, and they couldn't afford a whole tour, but they did a few select shows, as I recall. So we got the San Francisco show. And
this is pre-Hungry Like the Wolf. This is Planet Earth.
Yeah, Planet Earth was the only record at that time.
And wow, were the girls? I mean, how many people were in the audience?
It was packed. It wasn't like a teeny bopper crowd, though. It was more like a 20-something crowd, because they didn't have all that, pop top 40 hits yet.
Right.
So yeah, I thought they were really good. I mean, I really liked that album. I kind of lost track after that album, but
yeah, Cassandra's cringing. But
why? No, I'm not.
You're cringing a little bit when I said Duran Duran.
No, I love them. You kidding me? I just posted them on our story today.
Okay, I know. Maybe I'm misreading this. I don't know. So
she just remembers them afterwards when they did become a big team and all the I'm sure she was one of the little kids in the audience that, cheering him on. But yeah.
You say that, but the chauffeur
Never
is played in
opened
every
my
goth
eyes,
club
sorry.
and is accepted in
Yeah.
every goth club.
Which is cool.
The chauffeur is their goth song, right, Cassandra?
I don't know. There's a couple.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever heard them in a goth club, but there are a couple of songs that lean a little darker.
Yeah, I love the chauffeur though. That is a great song.
Yeah, I've heard the chauffeur in goth club many a time.
Oh.
You also opened up for REM too back in the day.
REM, yeah, but I mean there were good bands too, like the Cramps, Gang of Four.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying, Cramps.
Totally just dissed REM.
I'm sorry, I had to let that one in. I just never been a fan of REM, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, this is before they were big too.
Yeah, it was actually. They had really. I remember them all having long hair. And
Yeah.
kind of having like a retro hippie thing before it was cool to be retro hippie. So
Right.
I got to give them credit for that. That was pretty, ahead of their time.
Yeah, but I can't believe Duran Duran got more respect than REM. But what are you gonna do? But
Crazy.
hey,
I mean, I would have thought, certain bands would have been huge, and they kind of never did. And
it seems like Cramps would be more your style. That would be a better fit.
the Cramps were great, but also the Cramps were really different back then. They hadn't got into any of the fetish stuff yet.
Yeah.
They were really just like a rockabilly punk band.
Right.
They were fantastic back then.
So would you describe, you always were, because this is kind of like at the beginning of, let's say, quote unquote, goth and dark wave. And I guess you were kind of at the forefront. I mean, you were right there doing stuff that you weren't doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a group of people. I mean, it wasn't like an intentional group at all, but they were just like people from the punk era that started to gravitate towards that aesthetic and that look and that sound. And then other people kind of tried to hold on to the punk thing. So it kind of started to split off around that time. And then you also had like new wave coming into fashion, which was like a really kind of tame version of the whole thing.
Right.
So yeah.
Which is hence your hair in the video.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm fascinated with this because I mean it's obviously a little before my time, but just the transition from punk to goth and other things that happened around the late '70s, early '80s, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And how these bands all splintered off and kind of they all created a sound really, and
Exactly.
the sound never died.
Yeah, I mean, punk itself, I can't believe it's lasted so long and become an institution,
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It was not meant to last, basically.
You don't think so?
Oh no, I mean, my interpretation was it was like just stir things up, shake things up, and here it just kept going and going.
Yeah, we need something to shake things up now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there are punk bands, but what are they, what are they doing? I don't know what's going on.
Well,
Maybe Cassandra could stir things up.
Yeah. Oh, she always does. Yeah.
So how did you meet this force of nature? And then we're going to get into her whole story because there's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking
How did you
Phillip
meet
or
Cassandra? How
myself?
did you guys meet?
We met in a very short-lived punk band.
Yeah,
Speaking of punk,
you were
Yeah.
singing in a punk band. Was this in LA or was this?
it was here in LA. I was singing and a co-writer with the guitarist who started the band, and we had a rotating door of bassists. And it was really the band only lasted a matter of months, sad to say. And the very last bassist was Phillip.
Yes, that's pretty good.
I guess
And
I broke
so-
them up.
You broke them up?
I guess I broke the band up.
Punk wasn't meant to last.
Exactly.
Well, our drummer had to go back to Germany. His visa ended. And then, it just kind of dissolved. Like, we only had a handful of shows. We were just starting, and I really loved the music we created, but, people live differently, want different things. And then it was months before, Phillip and I were both looking for another project to be a part of, and after, what was it? I don't know, it was a matter of a few months at least, where you tried to send me a file, and initially I was like, oh, well, maybe. And then you did it
right away. Right away, I started
Oh,
sending stuff. I had
you
to
sent it
wear
right away?
Yeah, and I just took a while to wear you down is all. And then she's like, oh God, okay.
It was emotional. I had to let go of the previous
Yeah.
band. But yeah. And so he sent me a file. I was like, hey, do you want to listen to this? What do you think? Because we had never written together in the previous band. I wrote with, as I said, someone else. So we gave it a shot to see if we could find some synergy, and we did. It was really easy.
Was it easy for you, Philip?
Oh yeah, it was great. I always knew it would be. Even when I was in the previous band, I have to admit I was thinking about it already.
How many bands have you been in? That seems like, I mean, let's just start with this, this century. But how many bands have you been in since?
Who, me?
Yeah, since say 1980. How many bands have you been in?
Well, I really have no idea.
Yeah.
Because it depends on at what point you consider it a band. I mean, you'll start projects, with 5 people, and then write songs, play a few shows, and it just dissolves. I kind of, don't count all those as bands, honestly.
Okay. Well, how many play gigs? How many have actually done a show?
They've all done gigs. They've all done shows. I guess I'd have to say I've been in like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Actual really successful to some point.
It's a lot more than that, I know.
Have I?
Yeah, you've told me about, there were so many.
Well, honestly, you guys, I don't remember.
Okay, don't worry. I'm not going to, it's fine. But let me ask you an easier question. How many instruments do you play?
Instruments?
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, I play a lot, but a lot of producers play a lot of instruments. Honestly, I play bass, guitar, violin, mandolin, harmonica, a little piano, keys. Keyboards are easy, And I started on drums, actually. So.
Okay. Wow. So your whole that's the thing about Light Shadows is, you're kind of the one-man band, although you sing as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
And which is interesting because when last time I did a show with you guys, I had a few people come up that said that you reminded them of the Eurythmics, which I didn't hear at the time, but then I was like, oh, okay, because they have the similar dynamic of the multi-instrumentalist and the singer and that's not a knock. That's good.
Oh yeah.
And that's, I think, due to Cassandra's voice being a deeper voice than normal.
Yeah. I mean, I actually prefer her voice to Annie Lennox any day. It's got a really specific...
I love Annie Lennox, but still.
Yeah, I love Annie Lennox. She's great.
Annie Lennox, but
like Cassandra's voice is just very unique. I really never heard another female singer like her.
That's true.
Oh, man. I'm just going to sit here and turn red.
Well, and part of that is because you have an operatic range.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. You just don't get a lot of that in popular music, really. Right.
You were performing opera on when I met Cassandra, she had answered an ad to be on the podcast 4 years ago. We bumped her for Tawny Katane, who canceled. And then we had Bobby Brown, who was in the Cherry Pie video for Warrant that was actually on the show. But I did interview her on YouTube for my blog, Viva Goth Vegas, and we found out that you sang at the Metropolitan Opera when you were 17.
No. I started with a regional opera company when I was 17, and when I was performing with them, I realized I love the classical bass, but that's not where I wanted to spend all my time. And it was years later that I got recommended to the Met, but I got recommended as a dancer and a Bunraku-style puppeteer. That's what was so weird about it. Right. I started singing in opera when I was 17, and then here we are, graduated college, got some work under my belt, I'm asked to go back to opera as a dancer and a puppeteer of all things. But it was Anthony Minghela's Madame Butterfly. So for the director that it was, and for the place that it was, like its level of professionalism and the opportunity, because I got to tour the Met and Lincoln Center when I was a teenager. And then to be hired and to be on that stage, it was an emotional thing. It was just going, oh my God, you know.
I can imagine, yeah.
Of all the theaters inside Lincoln Center, the Met was not the one I thought I'd be at if I was going to be at one. So it was even more of a surprise. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's the clarity on that weirdness.
Okay. But you were an opera singer at an early age.
I studied classical music, yeah, and that was my first job. I just went in there, you know, maybe dumb and fearless at 17 and brought my music, and I sang one song for them and they asked me for another one. So sang them another one and then they hired me.
So you do have opera training or you don't? You just have a natural?
I do.
You do, okay. And you just, because you're downplaying, you're downplaying your audition.
Well, just meaning that because I had no experience, maybe that's why I wasn't intimidated at all or afraid. I just went for it.
Right. That's the best. That's always the best. When you have no pressure or you're not even thinking about it, that's when you perform at your best.
You learn fear later, and then that messes things up.
Yeah, then when you start thinking about things, then you're not yourself. But let's go back, because I was trying to nail this one down, and I don't know if I really got it right. Now, when you were a little girl, you went back and forth from United States to England?
Well, I lived thus far, not as a little girl, but as a teenager, I was in England the first time. So I lived America, England, America, England, America. But I don't really have one. Put me next to an English person, I don't sound very English. But I have played more English roles than I have American roles by this point. I think that's part of it. And then also, you know, when you're a teenager in another country, there's that desire to connect. And I think also for me, it was the happiest I'd ever been to that point. So it's a weird way of carrying it with me, I think.
Okay.
Whatever little bit is still there, which sometimes is not there at all.
It's there.
Like a vocal schizophrenia, I don't know.
No, it's definitely a unique accent, and it's a mix of things, but I think the English is the predominant accent. I think when people talk to you, people here in America, we talk to you. Am I right, Phillip?
Oh yeah, definitely. You should do the Hyacinth voice for him.
Well, what's the Hyacinth voice?
Are you familiar with, I don't know if you're familiar with the show.
Keeping Up Appearances.
Keeping Up Appearances, the British.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is okay. I do love that show.
Oh, okay. Well, before we ask you for your AbFab voice, we'll move on. No, but you when I met you, you were predominantly acting, and you weren't in a band. You're always doing so many things.
I think a lot of artists do. You know, that artistic impulse. I know so many people who are either writers, actors, directors, or singers, actors, dancers. You know, at least a triple. Right.
Now we had a conversation some time back, and you said that when you lived in Cleveland, that's when you really had a great artistic time.
Well, it was one of the places I did. Yeah, because it was. I don't know. I think it was just something about that time period for me personally. And I just met the right people. Like it was like I'd do one thing and then I'd meet a bunch of people and it would just roll.
And what did you do in Cleveland?
I did regional theater in Cleveland. That was the first thing I did. Did a show at the Cleveland Playhouse. Well, actually prior to that, before moving there, I got cast in a show at another small Cleveland theater. And that's when I decided, maybe I'll go and spend some time there, and build up some credits and make it a little easier. Because like the move to New York right away from college would have been just deadly. And I'd just come back from England the second time. And it was just, okay, what do we do?
Where'd you go to college?
Huh?
Where'd you go to college?
I went both in New York State and in England.
Oh, okay.
In south of England. And so when I went to Cleveland, I did that first show. And everyone I met there, it just ended up rolling into other shows, into the specialty work that I did. I did a lot of walk around specialty work. And that's when I joined Equity and AFTRA when I was there. And I did some commercial work. I had like 7 agents booking me for specialty work and 2 or 3 agents for like commercial and voiceover, though I didn't do that much of it, to be honest. I wasn't really a Midwestern sell for commercial.
You don't, even though you think fondly of your Cleveland time, you don't have a Cleveland accent.
No, I wasn't there for that one. But it was a very good concentrated time.
Yes, and then it prepared you for New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then you became an opera star, and you were doing some avant-garde puppeteering and theater, and were you singing in New York as well?
It's weird because I kind of stepped away from singing for a while. I think it was because it was the most important thing to me. And Phillip and I have talked about this. I think I got the most either disillusioned or wounded musically. I needed to kind of like reconnect with it. So I wasn't doing as much in the way of vocal work in New York at all. And it's not.
What happened to make you disillusioned?
A variety of things. And it's kind of like I had more of a musical wound than I realized I did, because I've come to realize that I know when I'm happy when I'm singing, not just on the stage, but when I'm singing. Just walk around the house singing, just do something and then break into song. It's just such a part of it. And it was also the first artistic thing I ever did. And had to kind of reconnect with it.
Bad breakup or?
No, it had nothing to do with like an individual. It was really just me. Couple of sinus surgeries, which were, I had so many repeated infections, it would really impede my ability to have the fullness of my range and consistent sound. So preparing for a show became an extremely stressful experience to try to make sure that, I wouldn't get, be gross, a phlegm ball in the middle of a, chokes it. It became very stressful on a variety of different points, and that was one. So
that's New York. They're used to that type of stuff.
That was before New York.
I've seen phlegm balls. I've done comedy in New York. Seen phlegm balls flying.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Well, it's also that letting yourself screw up, letting yourself fail, instead of being demanding on like it being perfect all the time. That took a while to let go too. As he's nodding his head.
Doesn't she, Phillip?
That kind of lingers on for a few years, I've noticed. But
it's a part of who I am, but it's not as crazy as it was, where that was such a part of it.
Your lead singer and musical partner is a perfectionist, Phillip, right?
Exactly, which is not a bad thing, because beforehand I was more like a lazy about it. I just like do any old thing and I just throw it out there for everybody to hear. But now we have like really strict quality control on everything we do. So it's a good thing.
So there have been songs that you were ready to put out that she said that it's not ready.
Oh yeah, pretty much every time actually.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's
No,
good.
yeah, we have a whole backlog of material that
Oh yeah,
has yet to be
Well, I'm
released.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but I can imagine it's actually good. It's a good dynamic to have the two of you, balance each other out because Phillip, you're spontaneous and you're like, oh, this is good, and you can kind of. And Cassandra's more of a perfectionist.
Well, musically, yes, but personality-wise, it's probably the opposite.
Oh yeah.
She's more spontaneous than me.
Oh hell yeah.
It's
That's
an
the thing that's
interesting
weird
mix.
about it.
Well, give me an example of this. I'm not sure about that.
Oh yeah. I'd be the one who's like, let's go do this now. And he'd be like, give me, what? No, give me, I need days.
Exactly.
I need a week. Like, oh, well, I had the impetus now. You
Well,
know?
it's because he's got an eternity to do things. Yeah, he's been around since the 1200s or whatever. He's got thousands. You think this virus is going to kill vampires? I don't think so.
This younger vampire is still rather.
No, I'm not talking about the goth club baby bats. I'm talking real vampires are immune to this. He's going to keep going on. He's not wearing a mask.
Oh yeah.
You don't know really, because
Oh, yeah.
if it's in your blood, then it could be a problem.
Yeah, you gotta watch who you're
Exactly.
blood you're sucking. Yeah, but
Exactly.
it's not a problem for you. But then if you suck somebody's blood, then you suck somebody. You can give them the virus. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but Phillip, are you interested in vampires and things like that?
I am, but not to the extent that the modern goths are. I mean, vampires in horror movies I always loved, and that was definitely what the look is about. But it went from like being a club look to kind of being a lifestyle.
Yeah.
In the recent times, and that I never. I mean, I don't disapprove or anything, but it just never really entered my mind.
Yeah. Do you have any fangs?
You're not going to believe this, but I will tell you. I actually had like long fangs naturally when I was growing up, and the dentist filed them down for me.
No.
I was about 15.
Isn't that cool?
Oh,
He
that's
could've said
sucks.
no.
What kind of dentist is that?
I know. He filed them down because it looked like a vampire. I remember him telling me.
Yeah, that's dentistry in the 1700s too, so you know how that is. But so you show up to play bass for this band, and this punk band.
And there's weird girl there.
Do you think you're weird? Seriously, Sandra?
I'm only going by how many times I've been told that. That's all.
Really?
It's not normal to me.
Yeah, it's me too. But I guess I don't know. People see. I mean, people seem to meet you and love you from all walks of life.
Ah.
I have plenty of non-goth friends that were really taken by you guys and your music.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We're not really strictly. We had a tough time with the whole genre. Every time we tried to upload our music and we had to pick like a genre and then subgenres, we struggled because both of us have such a wide range of musical interests. We were like, well, this song could go here, this song could go here. And we didn't want to be locked in, not because there isn't a love. I was part of the Gothic community for so many years, part of private groups in New York, the whole nine yards. And it's always going to be a part of who I am. It's just that it's not the only part of the story. I reserve the right to be a multifaceted artist and have a love for other kinds of music. And it comes out when Phillip and I come together to write, sometimes we don't know what's going to happen. I might have an intent. Like I brought him songs before where I have the melody, I've got the lyrics, and I'm like, okay, I see it this way. And then he'll come back with an idea that's very different, but that works and completely surprises and delights me. And other times I will do the same with him, where I'll be like, oh, but I see it going this way. And we work with it and work with it and work with it until we're finally like, there's the baby.
Well, that's what was great.
Smack it in the ass and put it out there.
Well, that's what was great because you guys did a thing on your Instagram and your Twitter where you did photographs of yourselves as your influences.
Some of them, we haven't even put them all out yet.
You got more?
Yes.
So what did you do so far? You did goth, you did 80s, you did
Goth, 80s, early punk. We did grunge like 90s alternatives.
right.
We did blues and jazz, and we did like arena rock. You know, when I think arena rock, that covers quite a few types of bands that, you know, would fill an arena, have a very big, bold sound. You know, like Queen, which everyone knows, is one of the easiest touch points for that. And
what's another arena rock band that you like? Because I don't hear Journey in your music. I don't hear like Ted Nugent or Van Halen.
No, but I would say, you know, for when I think Queen, I feel elements of that, especially vocally, or Styx.
Really?
Yes.
Kiss.
Sure.
From the theatrical aspect, especially, and every once in a while it'll come out in a guitar or bass line. Who else did we put down? Sweet, Slade. Yeah. Help me, Phillip.
Phillip, what arena rock bands do you like?
Oh God, so many. I mean, I got into hair metal bands for a short time. I've been watching these Motley Crue concerts on TV, on YouTube from the 80s.
Right.
I think they're great.
Yeah.
I never went to any of their shows. I never bought any of their albums, but you know, it was a cool scene, I thought, for a little while.
It's fun. It had its moment.
It had its moments.
The moment went by real quick, but it was fun for a couple
3
of
months.
years.
It was cool.
I will tell you what song that surprised me.
Yeah.
As I was listening to your catalog so far, you know, that you put out, is it called social distancing or is it called something else? Social
isolation.
Social isolation. I knew it wasn't called social distancing, but it was close. I listened to Social Isolation, and then I was surprised how funky it was, especially the bass line. Am I wrong?
No.
It's an R&B influence. There's a real.
Oh yeah, I'm a big soul fan also.
George Clinton, Bootsy Collins sort of influence there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't play anywhere near as good as him, but yeah, I love that whole scene.
Which is ironic because once again, when I had David J on the show, I was talking about how did you guys in Bauhaus create the Gothic sound out of nothing? And he said it wasn't out of nothing, and if you listen to a lot of the songs, they were influenced by reggae and R&B.
Exactly.
Blues too. Yeah. I always felt like goth and blues have a connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. And although it's not the straight, you know, B.B. King blues, but it's you know, I think emotionally it is.
Yes.
Mostly you're getting to something deep and dark and sad inside, and trying to make something that's joyful out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Only they call it Northern Soul.
They call it goth Northern Soul?
No, they call it like the whole soul music scene in England. They call it Northern Soul.
Oh, right.
Just because the north of England hung on to it longer than, say, the Londoners did. It just became a staple for them. So, yeah, it's all.
What time have you spent?
Love American blues.
Phillip.
Sorry.
How much time have you spent in England?
I'm sorry, say it again.
How much time have you spent in England?
Oh, I haven't even been there. I've never been there.
Really?
Not yet.
Because you fit right in, wouldn't he, Cassandra? He's got the look. He's got the.
You'd have a great time.
I think so.
We need to get a show there. We need to get a show.
Are you part British? Because you have that look.
Oh. No.
Unless I don't know. They look at me. They're like, okay, American. I see that. You got that angular Peter Murphy British look.
Oh, that's weird.
Peter Murphy. It always comes up.
Who also might be a vampire. I don't know. But so as I was going back, so you guys are in a band. I'm just going all the way around it. So you guys are in a band.
We're gonna edit this, right?
Yeah, enjoy your whiskey. So you're playing bass in a punk band, and the singer is obviously a lot more technically advanced than most punk bands. And you're like, you broke up the band so you can have her, basically. Right?
Not
No,
deliberately,
no.
no. There's a whole story to it. I mean, we're still trying to figure out what happened, honestly.
It was destiny.
Yeah.
It was. I think I prefer my version. I think you took her away. You broke up the band intentionally to take her away.
I will say one thing though. It really was a lot like a punk band in the sense that it was so quick and it was so great, and then it just imploded somehow. And I really think to this day, I really don't know what happened. And yeah, we may never really know what happened.
Well, there was a little bit of a conflict going on. And then again, we lost Christoph to having to leave.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Yeah.
I think
how did you get to be singing again, Cassandra? Because you were here in LA, you were doing acting, you were playing a lot of maniacal women on screen. And how did you get back into the band?
There could have been a lot more. I just decided to. I think a lot of things when it comes to art is making that decision that you want to do it and take a step, and something will show up. And I think I'm trying to remember the first thing I did, because I was doing things sporadically, but the first thing I'm remembering that I did that was before the punk band was I filled in for a sick singer in a duo that was doing a festival here.
Okay.
And I had to learn their whole set in 24 hours. And I thought, oh, lead vocal, no problem. It was tight harmonies. But I learned it in 24 hours. And we did the gig, had a great time. And
was it a band we would know?
No, probably not. They were out of New Mexico. I think they were called Quietly Kept. As I'm, what's Quiet Room, Quietly Kept? There's a lot of quiet.
Quiet stuff going on here.
I don't know, except for me, I'm not very quiet. I had a great time, and I got along with them. It was really nice. And then I started looking for a project, sort of like working on some songs to put together, just to have a demo to share. Like, yes, I'm a singer. Here's some of the things I like to sing or whatever. And that's when I met the guy who started the previous band, Charlie, and here we are. Things do have a tendency to roll one into the next to the next. Like when you take that step, it may not be smooth, it may not be easy, but if you want it and you put your head towards that, something shows up.
So this was just the law of attraction working for you.
You could look at it that way, I suppose.
Now you're in a band with a great collaborator who's been in bands for, since, or beyond. And you guys, when you're on stage, you have a lot of chemistry. Now, you both sing. How do you determine who sings the song?
Oh, she's the main singer, definitely. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm a bit, that's what I want to do. But I think sometimes it's just, social isolation you brought up was of the moment, because the last time we were in the same physical space and recording, I just recorded a scratch vocal just to get some rhythms and play around. That's all. I had no lyrics, I had just playing around. And then, the shelter in place thing happened. And then Phillip called me up and said, I have this idea. I don't know. I got some lyrics, I got a melody, let me know what you think. And he used my scratch vocal. That was a scratch vocal. That was never meant to see the light of day.
How dare you?
No, it's fine. It worked out fine. I just thought it might have been messy, because when you do a scratch, sometimes we don't use the proper microphone when we do a scratch. It kind of depends.
Tell me what a scratch vocal is. I'm ignorant. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I start singing, you'll find out.
Well, that's all subjective. Anyway.
No, I'm bad. Trust me on this.
Well, scratch vocal is, when you're either you do a rough cut, like a demo of a song. It could have some preparation behind it, right. But it can also be your very roughest sketch when you're just testing something out, and you might scrap the whole thing.
Right.
But it could be, I mean, there have been times I've done it on a phone. I've done it on a crappy, podcast mic that's a USB mic, which isn't very good for gathering a clean vocal. But it's just to get an idea out. You got an idea in your head, and before you lose it, you want to get it down. All of that, in my opinion, qualifies as scratch. How about you, Philip?
Yeah, it's like a sketch kind of. You just kind of map out where you're going to sing sometimes, and you like outline it, and then you go back and get the idea together, and then you go back into your actual vocal. But that scratch vocal, we set it up beautifully. We had the right mic, and we had it all together. So it's really fortunate. I mean, we had no idea we were going to be quarantined, a couple days later. So.
And you wrote it before quarantine.
We started it before.
We didn't write it. That's the thing. It's after the shelter in place happened is when he called me and said, I have a different idea for that. What do you think? And we went through a couple of changes, but mostly you had kept my scratch vocal and you had a whole set of lyrics in your head, and it became what it became.
Yeah.
And by the way, Cassandra, I don't know if you know, but your vocals on the Zoom crackled and went in and out when you were describing a scratch vocal, which I guess is appropriate. So it's
I don't know how that
how
happened.
the audio is. It's not good. Now, what led you guys to do your latest release? Is a cover of the song "Church" by Fall Out Boy. Why that?
I love Fall Out Boy.
I know you love Fall Out Boy. Is that why? Just you love that? You love that band?
There are three bands I really love, and that was one. And I also love that song. And I had an idea for the song, a very, very different take on it. And
It is.
You've heard them both?
Yeah, of course. I was listening to that today, and I've heard the Fall Out Boy. Yeah, it's definitely different.
And
It's a little style, I'd say, gothier.
just ever so slightly. Yeah, that one really goes a little bit more old school gothy, I think. That's what people have said anyway.
It is, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that one probably took the longest time of anything we've recorded because I'm the Fall Out Boy fan. Philip is not so much. And I had the idea, but when we first started, it was, you know how some covers are very close to the original and it's like, cool. And other covers are extremely different and the band makes it their own.
Those are the covers I prefer.
I like both. It kind of depends. Like Marilyn Manson's Personal Jesus is really not that far off the original by Depeche Mode, but I love them both.
Yeah,
It's still him.
I'm honestly not into that because it's so close.
I love them both.
But I've heard him do other covers that, like I Put a Spell on You. He made it. He made that his own.
Yeah.
So
And I felt like with this one, we really wanted to make it our own.
You did.
And we played some early iterations for a friend who loves the band. And the three spots I thought we had right were the three spots that she said, I can hear you guys here. And I was like, okay, that's the track that we want to be on. And then we came back and kept working it until it became what it did.
Did you learn to like the song, Philip?
I did. I learned to like it exactly. When I first heard it, I thought it was an interesting song. I don't know anything about Fall Out Boy. The only thing I know about Fall Out Boy is when Cassandra sings Fall Out Boy to me, which I'd heard a lot of that. So in a way, I got it. And yeah, it was interesting. We just kind of kept working on it, and I love the way it turned out.
No, it's really good. And also, which we played on Renegade Radio last week, and I'll tack on whichever song you want on the end of this podcast. But Bloody Sticky Stuff. What is tell us the story behind that song, because I love that song, but I'm not 100% what it's about. I have an idea.
I don't think I know either, honestly, not 100%.
I have a few ideas.
What is that song about?
That was one that I started before Philip and I even started working together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sat for a bit. And then there were a couple of experiences that were like very solidifying. And then all of a sudden, the rest of it came out. And well, it's about that idea that the blood that flows through our veins that fuels our passions and fuels our pain. Do you know what I mean? What it is that we are. We never can get away from what that is. And the other thing that was in my mind when writing that song was, man, you know, it was sort of that, I was watching some vampire films.
Go figure.
And you do. Go figure. And that idea of blood connection. So obviously in vampire lore, blood connection isn't just original parents and that kind of family. It's sort of chosen family, but it still is a blood connection, and that the power of that connection, and that feeds into the song's lyrics as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from the moment we appear through the blood and sweat and tears. So the idea of the moment of birth, and then going on to how what we are as human beings, good or bad, is something we can never fully get away from. It doesn't stop there only when we are aware. It sneaks up from behind, silent explosion, and we find we are bloody, sticky stuff. Even when we feel ethereal, even when we're reaching for something else, there's still something about our humanness.
Except for Phillip, because he's not human, but...
There we go. I don't know what's
Do you interpret it, Phillip, or do you have a different interpretation?
No, I'm fascinated with it. I mean, it's like I kind of get it, and every time she's asked to explain it, I want to hear again, you know, like, okay, I'm slowly getting it. The song itself, music, I love it, I get it, you know.
No, I'm sorry, there was more to the explanation, Sandra. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Huh? No, I had to change my view. For some reason on the desktop, it kept popping around and I didn't know where to look. I must look like I'm reading a terrible teleprompter to anyone who's watching. So I changed it to speaker view so I can just look at one of you.
Okay.
No, that's the way communication is these days. It's the social isolation. It sucks. You guys, you love performing live. You have so much joy performing live. It sucks. And that's, you know, if you're going to build a band, that's where you're going to make money, presumably performing live, and now that's cut off.
Well, that and the music itself and merch. I mean, sadly, we didn't have a gig or a tour booked when this occurred. We were focusing on, we had a whole backlog of music, just like Phillip said, that we were preparing for release. So last bits of refinement to all of these songs, and then mixing, and then it's the mastering process, which a bunch of them, well, the copyright process, but then there's the mastering process, which we have to go through, and then there's the planning of trying to release it, at least as a DIY band, so it's not just a fart in the wind, you know.
Right.
So it's a lot of work, even just one song. And the first round of songs, when you say you listened to our album, because there was that one album and the others have only been singles.
Right.
That was, and Phillip, you know, I want to hear your feedback on this, but that was early, all of it, very early music. We're kind of in a different place now, but we didn't want to bury that or throw it away because it felt like it was part of the story. So we released it as an album to sort of like get it out there, you know, to get on the playing field.
Oh, but there's great songs on there.
Oh, thank you.
Pictures in the Attic is one of my favorites. Every time
a Quiet Room song, by the way.
A Quiet Room song?
I bugged him to cover it.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
It's like the flip side of She Sits Alone. You can look it up on YouTube also if you.
Oh, okay. So there is a Quiet Room version of Pictures in the Attic.
Yeah.
And you sing it?
I do sing it.
It's great.
Oh, I gotta check it out. Well, I'm sure yours is, but I also, You to Me, I also am a big fan of.
Mm.
I like it. I think the album holds together.
No, thank you. Yeah,
I listened to it front to back.
It's like a classic first album, if you ask me. You know, we're so much better now, but I'm so glad we have all that early stuff, you know.
Pardon me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
What does that mean, a classic first album to you?
Well, the first album, in a sense, we didn't even really know each other that well yet, and the songs were so early, and we were just tapping into our potential, I think. I mean, every song we write, I feel is made progress on the previous one, honestly. So it's just a great process. But yeah, I'm glad we have that first album out there and available.
It's on all of your. By the way, the sun's going down as I'm talking. I don't have any lights on, so that's why I keep getting darker and darker.
But you're going dark, Mark.
Yeah, I just started this, and it was daytime, and I didn't have any lights on. Now it's
okay.
It just keeps darker. And once you can't see me at all, that's when the show will end. But it's on Spotify, it's on Deezer, it's on Tidal, it's on all of your streaming sites. And but you're not, when you started, you made money off records. Now it's like, what do you get from streaming? Like 50 cents a month or what?
Well, yeah, it would be great to have larger streaming numbers, and I think that might have to do with. I think there's a lot of factors in there. Maybe advertising or having some of the. I don't think a label is necessarily necessary, but having some of the infrastructure of one, or at least, marketing and PR, because it can get very challenging. You're trying to do everything yourself. And some of those new relationships that people in PR and marketing make.
Have you had any of your contacts in the acting field, or maybe put your songs into any TV or movies, or?
No, but that's another thing we would want to get, especially the newer music.
Yeah. Because
that first album was completely self-released, like it wasn't even mastered outside of us. So, but yes, it would be nice to get on some services definitely on the list, to get placement, sync licensing in TV and film. Love that idea.
Okay. So what's the best song Light Shadows has to sip tea to?
To sip tea to?
Yes, tea. Yes, the tea. You're gonna put on one Light Shadow song.
Oh man, it depends on whether you want a calm tea or an introspective dark tea. What are you drinking?
Oh, me. It's funny. I don't know. I when we talked about, and I mentioned this because Cassandra is also the Tea Deviant. As some people know, you are a deviant blogger of tea. And you're still doing it.
Yes, I'm still a tea blogger. I mean, I moved into doing live workshops and things like that, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm looking to expand it into podcasting and going back to doing video again, because it did, especially without being able to do the live stuff, that would be helpful. Yes. Tea fanatics, if you are a tea fanatic, if you love tea, like I love tea, and you don't want to be told where to put your pinky, you're welcome to join us at teadeviant.com.
Now, you said tea shows or tea conventions?
No, tea workshops.
Oh, tea workshops.
Yeah.
What do you teach at a tea workshop?
It varies. Like I've done a blending workshop. I've done tea infused honey workshop. And I mean, there's so many different things to do with it. Tea recipes, the basics of making a really good cup of tea so it tastes fantastic to you. But the whole idea is to have fun with it, to really enjoy it. And the live thing, very much like live performance, you can't really replace that exchange of energy, in the moment.
Even drinking tea.
Even drinking tea.
So now people aren't getting together and drinking tea, but once again, you're evading the question. What is the one tea? I'm sitting down to a nice relaxing cup.
A relaxing cup?
Yes.
Probably Magic Underground as far as a relaxing cup goes.
Right.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah! There we go.
How about you're waking up, it's time to go to work. You got to get up. What's a good Light Shadow song to put on with your morning tea?
Oh, for like an energizing one.
Yes, energizing.
Go ahead, you choose that one, Philip.
I would say maybe Alive from the first album.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It's after all the lyrics, I'm waking up.
Cassandra, have you found that since I interviewed you last about tea in 2000, I guess 17 it was, 16? Have you found new tea that you're raving about that you didn't know before?
Oh, I'm always finding new tea. Matter of fact, I have a box coming from a company called Brew in England that reached out to me kind of at the beginning of all of this happening and said, hey, you know, we do a subscription tea service. Would you like to review and try our tea box? And I said, yes. I haven't actually done a review or an unboxing of a subscription tea service. So I'm really looking forward to that. And oh gosh, there's been so many. I can't remember which ones we talked about when you had interviewed me. I'm always discovering tea companies or blends or.
I'm not sure. Well, were you into tea before you met? It looks like we're almost out of time.
Dark Bach is really
yes, and then when you guys came on the screen, then some light shines on my head. So is there? Were you into tea before you met Cassandra?
I was, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I wasn't to the extent that I am now, and I knew nothing about it. I just did drink tea every day, though, and
Right.
yeah, I've learned so much from her. It's totally great.
What's the tea that she turned you on to, Philip?
Sorry?
What's a tea that she turned you on to?
Oh, my favorite one, Taifu from
Taifu?
Britain. The best tea ever, I swear to God. It's a very simple tea. I'm a simple man, but it's just so great. Yeah, love it.
Is that a manufacturer? Or is that a type of tea or?
Is that the manufacturer name?
Yeah, it's the brand name, Typho, Typhoo.
Taifu. I
recommend
gotta look into it.
Yeah, it's a great basic tea, but it tastes really nice.
I gotta start drinking tea every day,
Mm.
like you guys. So I look more goth and more beautiful. This looks like it's like
Well, it will make you more goth. It's a fact.
yes, it's like 2 hours and a homeless man who's disappearing into the dark. But now once everything lifts and you said, Cassandra, you've been trying to do shows, but it's frustrating. The two of you like doing a Zoom show like this because there's a delay.
Yeah.
So when you sing together, or you try to sing together and get everything together, oh.
Yeah,
We can't.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, Izzy!
Who is
Izzy's wearing his man bun.
Yeah.
How is he?
Too cute.
Because I know Metallica just did a thing where the four of them did a song together, but it's tough synchronizing because you're not in the same room, right?
Well, yeah, because we haven't found a service that we could do live performance without latency or disconnect, you know?
Mhm.
The only other thing we can do, and I've seen a lot of bands do this, is that one person records their portion, and then everyone separately records theirs and then edits it together.
Okay.
Right.
We did start doing some of that. I just, yeah, we'll see. it's just that it's not as, you know, for us to do it acoustically is easy. For us to do it with the full-on sound is hard because we don't have equivalent. Like, I don't have a proper studio right now. Actually, neither of us actually have like a full-on studio. So that makes it a little harder.
We have one great video acoustic from the actual day they made the quarantine. Remember, we did a live.
Oh, the first day of shelter in place for LA. Yeah, we put it on our Instagram, and we were doing the song Alive, and that one turned out really good, I think.
It did.
For an acoustic in the living room.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, today we were on radio TFSC. Apparently, I have to go double check if they ended up including us, and they're going to play it again, where they were taking a bunch of indie bands with sort of like a indie on the couch kind of show of us playing our songs acoustically.
Now, what's the next song that's going to come out? What's the next? Forgive the dark. What's the next one that's going to come out for you guys? What has Cassandra approved for the next release?
I don't think she's. Well, actually, no. I won't say anything. Go on.
Of
Dia.
course, you know which one it is. Let's just say this. We'll tease it that it's leaning more in the EDM direction.
Okay, and when would that be out?
That's something we have to decide yet. Because we were going to do it, and then all of this happened, and then social isolation happened. The song.
Right,
And,
which is great. Like I said, that's probably your funkiest, danciest song, I would say.
Well, I'd
So
have
far.
to say,
So far.
like, this one is probably dancier, but in a different way.
Is
Yeah.
that the direction you're going in?
Actually, our songs are pretty mixed.
Okay.
We've got some gothy stuff coming up. We've got, there's definitely one I can think of that is an unusual cabaret kind of tune. How about you, Philip?
Well, I mean, I honestly, I don't try to plot it out ever. I just, the songs I write, you know, they just kind of appear.
Exactly.
I kind of go through batches of songs. Like I'll write a few that sound similar, and then they kind of merge into another sound. So.
But I mean, what we have ready to go, because we have quite a bit ready to go. I think we have some stuff that is still very goth electro, dark electro.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that lead EDM, and then some things that are quieter. It's going to be all over the place, man.
We are.
Best case scenario, everything gets going, and everybody is back, say like in June or July. You think you would come out with a full-length album this year?
I don't know. I know we were talking about potentially a remix album that we have,
Okay.
like an EP. But as a newer band, the singles are a great way of saying hi on a regular basis and building that. Whereas an album kind of goes, and you know, when you're a smaller band that not that many people know, I think singles are a little stronger way to go. But that's just. But we might then re-release a set of singles as an album. I don't know yet. That's also doable.
Do you agree, Philip?
Yeah, I do. I mean, as much as I love albums, because I grew up in the album era, I suppose, I still think in terms of an album, but it is kind of something it's much harder to do now. And it's true, you know, if you do one single and then make it slower that you release stuff, it's probably a better way to go. People have a short attention spans. I know I do. So the days of being, you know, sitting at home with your headphones on, you know, and only having like 5 albums, you know, I suppose that's gone. You have access to everything now.
Right. People are still staying at home
That's true.
in the dark sometimes. People are staying at home.
Like you.
Yes.
Completely in darkness.
They're just going back and forth from one song to the other. Anyway, Light Shadows. Before I go, who picked out the name? And I can't believe there hasn't been another Light Shadows.
Well, there has been. I think there is somebody who's like Light Shadow, which we didn't realize when we first started searching.
Oh, really?
But we found Light and Shadows and a few other things, but we were initially looking for, does anyone have Light Shadows as a band across all social media? And there was no one, but we couldn't get it. A lot of the people who had like Light Shadows as their handle or Facebook, where we couldn't get it, and I think it was Twitter, were individuals that had like dead accounts. So the name was already taken, but not by a band. And how did that come about? Did we do the same process on this one as we did on the previous? Remember? Well, that one was very funny because it was all 4 of us, and we really took it to a crazy place. We just came up with a bunch of crazy names and laughed our asses off. But this one was pretty simple. But we named ourselves before we even knew what our sound was.
Yeah, it kind of happened really quickly, as I recall. So
I think we just knew we were going to be blending elements of dark wave, dark electro, and gothic music with lighter elements of electronic music like EDM and other lighter forms. And I think that the name makes sense, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think
How boring. It's not Toad the Wet Sprocket, okay? A very boring name, but
well, don't remind me of that, but. Now, I was going to say, as I fade to black, it's very evocative, and there's very few bands that are as aptly named as you guys, because you bring the shadows into the light. And I can't believe, where does the time go? Where did the sun go? But tell everybody where they can get a hold of you individually and as a band, and anything you want to plug.
okay. We are at lightshadowsmusic.com. That's our website where all of our socials are available through there. And then Instagram, because everyone seems to love Instagram, is Light Shadows Band.
Mm-hmm.
And we are indeed on most of the streaming services. And then, Philip, we do have a band camp, yes? And tell them what's available there.
We have actually the newest song, Social Isolation, and Bloody Sticky Stuff, I think.
There's only a few available on Bandcamp, but Social Isolation is only on Bandcamp right now. That was like a Bandcamp only.
Oh, and then of course our Christmas songs available on Bandcamp. Not So Silent Night. You guys definitely check out our version of Silent Night.
That's where our punk influence comes out. That was one of the first things we ever did. And it was kind of left over from that previous band. It's, punked up.
A punk version of Silent Night.
Yes.
Oh, this I got to hear. I can't wait.
It's been likened to Zig Zig Sputnik, if that makes any sense.
It's been likened to what?
It's been likened to Zig Zig Sputnik.
Ah, even more intriguing.
It's on YouTube, I think. I think it might have been taken down on Bandcamp because of the holidays, but I think it's still on YouTube, right, Philip?
Oh, it should be. We can go put it on right now. Just to make sure.
Anyway, I'm glad I finally got to know Philip. I've only seen him. I've only said hi to him after the show and said he was great.
Me too.
And
Nice.
I could talk to you. I just interrupted you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good to talk to you too. It's always so loud at shows. I know it's kind of hard to.
Oh, Philip, you forgot to tell him about. We do have something new. We thought we'd go down that merchandise route properly. So you can actually wear us on your chest if you want to now, like literally just today. And we're going to put a link on our website that should be up by the time that you are hearing this podcast. So we will have t-shirts.
Send me the link. I'll put this on the show. And also go to Tea Public to get your Dark Mark Show t-shirts. I was just about to say, Philip, it's great to get to know you a little bit. I'm hopefully you live another 500 years, and the viruses won't be in the blood anymore. And Cassandra, it's always a treat.
Much love to you, darling.
And everybody, goth comedian on all social media. Have a wonderfully creepy week. Bye.
Bye.
I'm waving in the dark. Bye.
We'll wait for you.
Nice, guys. That was great.
Cool.
Oh, you stopped.